a lot of people watching will already know, some things about you because, you've gone from being Mr. Underground to being Mr. Highly Visible.
Back to Mr. Underground.
I know, and that's great because I know that's where, it's always a means to an end, but what a lot of people don't realise is how much time perhaps that you invested in this dream for yourself, where you had a very stressful job, the GM of the, one of the biggest Mercedes dealerships here, and you were on a very good salary, and I'm sure a lot of people said to you, you're a lunatic. You have no idea, and that's part of what I'm sure a lot of people get when they start on this journey, because when people don't understand how the internet works and what the potential and power of results can be if you attack it the right way, they just think that you've lost your mind. It's that grey suit thing that I know you've seen me write about. I couldn't stand to be just content to be on that treadmill all the time, and you're the same sort of person. So if you had to go and give, if you gave somebody some advice who was starting out like you, what was step one? I mean, in your mind you sort of said, okay, I'm going to read all the books I can on this, or I'm going to do all the research. What was the first thing that you attacked?
For me, it was somebody offered me part of their business, and that opened up the mind of, well, perhaps I could have my own business instead of working in someone else's. So combining that with things like the E-myth, working on the business, not in it, the fact that I was making someone else very wealthy when I had all the talent to do it myself, I thought, well, really, I'm actually ripping myself off. The longer I work for someone else, the longer I'm deferring what I'm supposed to be doing. So the first step was just making that decision that I'm going to have my own business, and that's going to come first, and the day job is going to come second. So I actually switched. For a lot of people, they would have their primary loyalty would be the day job, and then their secondary loyalty would be their part-time business.
Yep.
In my mind, my part-time business was my business,
yep,
and the day job was a major inconvenience that I needed to get rid of.
Yep.
So by viewing it that way, it really propelled me into taking the necessary steps. For me, it was getting on an aeroplane, going overseas to the coalface to find out the information faster than it was filtering through locally.
Yep.
And then I used all of my skills in communication and strategy to get myself known to the right people and involved in a group where the information was fresh, and I implemented like crazy.
Yep. Your favourite word?
Well, I really did go out and turn some big rocks to make it happen.
Yep.
And because it was the priority. It was risky, but it worked out okay.
Yeah. Well, you kind of, I don't know if you've ever read that book, The Dice Man by Luke Reinhardt, where he actually, that's how he makes his decisions every day. He rolls the dice. He's got a set number of, options. And if it's number 6 and it's like fly to the States no matter what the cost and, learn from the best or whatever, that was what he did. So I think that you wanted to make it happen badly enough that the gambles, and you were in a position to do it because you were on a pretty good annual salary. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the part that a lot of people, that's where the mindset, because they look, they're on the edge of the cliff and it's like, oh my God. Whereas me, I do that too. I'm like, woo, let's see where this goes. Oh, I didn't bring the parachute, but it'll be okay.
I do want to challenge that assumption though.
Yeah.
If you're earning $300,000 a year, that just means you gear up with more debt and mortgage and investments. So
Right.
Just like every other person, I didn't have $10,000 sitting around to fly myself across the other side of the world and join a mastermind group.
Yep.
It was a massive time constraint, a financial stretch, and a gamble. Yep. But it came down to my self-belief.
Yeah.
I had to back myself. I actually said to my wife, I really want to go to this, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to. And she said, you have to go. So I was actually expecting that it might not be possible.
Right.
But having someone else believe in you is also important.
Yeah.
So going back to your question about family and friends, 6 years ago, if you mentioned Facebook or Twitter, people would look at you like you're an alien. Now I think it's quite commonly accepted that the internet is actually a thing, and
Yep.
there could be opportunity there. I
Yep.
don't think they'd think you're quite as mad now.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure of that. That's certainly true, and that reminds me of I mentioned it before to you, the quote that I heard you say about Janelle said to you, "You've got a knack for timing," because you were in debt collection when things were, when we had that mini
Yeah, we had the
recession,
recession.
92, 93, and then you went from that, and then we had the boom, and then you were in luxury cars.
Yep.
And, you've always been able to ride the crest of the wave, not be paddling to catch up. And that was one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and in my mind is, how much of that was a very conscious thing, that you'd visualise it, you saw the opportunities, you took action, because you are a great person for immediately taking action rather than too much, once you've set your mind, you go for it.
It's nothing to do with visualization. It's about dealing with change.
Yep.
If there's any skill you want to develop, it's ability to change.
Yep.
And that was something I struggled with as a kid. Lived in the same house for a long time, accumulated things, had
Yeah.
trouble letting go of old toys and stuff.
Yep.
And then I went through the blender. We had to move out,
Yep.
get rid of everything, get a job. A lot of change came.
Yep.
And when I was at Mercedes-Benz, I discovered that a lot of the executives were studying a book that was about change management. And I read that, and that made sense, that being able to accept change is a strength, because we're guaranteed of one thing.
Yeah.
Everything changes, These trees around us are going to change and die or regrow or whatever. So if you can be a master of change, then you really can adapt quickly and let go of all the fear of change, or the resistance that seems to hold so many people back. I mean, I could literally change my wardrobe, change my car, change my house, and start again next week with minimal interference, and a lot of people, that would just challenge them and put them
Very
into
big way.
a paralysis.
Yep.
But I'm able to, I guess, the other concept that goes with that is that when you invest in your brain, like when you read books or you implement things, that's a lesson that's going on in here.
Yeah.
That's transportable, and that's what I learnt from selling. That
Yep.
sales is a portable skill, and I was able to move that from one role to another.
That's true. And, I agree with you on change. That's the one thing where I've done the same sort of thing. I reinvent myself, and I have done, in different roles, different businesses all over the world. I've been lucky enough to have made that happen. Don't ask me how. I just decided I wanted to do it, and off I went.